Hey, this is Wileen Benson, and you are on the Daily Gratitude Call, where we start every day in gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy state that we can be in. It creates a frequency of positive vibration that attracts positive experiences into our lives. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining our Daily Gratitude Call today. We had a little bit of technical issues this morning. I didn't have internet at the beginning, but we're all good now. Everything's back to normal. And I'm really grateful for technology, and I'm super grateful for Plan B. And that's what we're going to focus on today is gratitude for Plan B. So I've got my timer set for 90 seconds. We're going to do a private silent meditation on gratitude for Plan B, and we'll see where that takes us. So just write down whatever inspiration you receive on gratitude for Plan B, and then we'll share. Begin. All right. Yeah, this was kind of interesting for me. It's like sort of a new space I'm in. And so I'm really grateful to be able to articulate this because it's not something that I have experienced before. With this little technology issue that we had this morning, in the past, I would have immediately thought of physical things that we could do to, backup plan or whatever. I would have immediately gone to taking charge and being the leader and maybe saying, Crystal, you get to lead the call today, and I'm going to try to figure out my, whatever. Or I would have, I don't know, I'm sure that I would have just taken the reins and tried to figure out like a workaround. And you might think, well, yeah, because in the past, that's like, yeah, that's the best thing to do. But this morning, there's none of that. It's like, I'm just realizing just now, because it was such a natural thing this morning that I didn't even notice it, but it was beyond trust. It was past like looking to past evidence and saying, oh yeah, when Wileen has problems with technology, she can always rely on somebody else to do the recording and, to be the host or whatever, and to carry it on. But there was none of that. It was just this peaceful, it didn't even feel like working around things. It just was like, this is what, this is what's happening. It wasn't even me doing it. It was just like, this is just what's happening right now. And like I say, I'm glad to be able to articulate this because it's never happened before. It just is. The spirit is present here on this call, and the physical manifestation of the call, where it actually happens and gets recorded and posted on the podcast and all of that, to be able to be listened to later, all of that is something that I know and is important, that happens, and it's part of God's plan to help bring people back to Him. And and so it just happens. It just is. And I applied this to my body, because I've been really doing a lot of focus on healing within my body lately. And I'm just this morning, right now after this meditation, just seeing that my body is obedient nature. It is made from dust, and dust is obedient, because everything that God, all of nature, if He commanded it, it would obediently, it would obey Him. And I'm seeing my body just is. I don't have to make it anything. I don't have to do any kind of workaround or anything like that. My body is His. He created it from the dust of the earth. And so it is perfect, and it's able to be commanded, and it can be obedient. And anyway, that's who knew that having a technology problem in the morning would take me to that place of, just seeing, and everything points to Christ, everything points to God, and everything that He does for us. So it's no surprise, but at the same time, it's very interesting. Mary.
When plan A doesn't work, there's always a plan B. But I, that's easy to say. I'm grateful for plan B. What is my plan B? Whatever comes? Or am I grateful? And I am grateful to have options.
Mm-hmm.
When plan A doesn't work, there is always a plan B. I can choose. Does it have to be planned out already, or just it shows up when I need it? These are just things I wrote down. Is it just there when I need it? It kind of reminds me of the faith. Like, it's easy to have faith when everything's going great.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden things are like, when things seem chaotic, are you still operating in faith? Is that your plan A, is to operate in faith? Plan B is also to operate in faith.
Mm-hmm.
But
mm-hmm.
it's plan B is, still operate in faith, just shift over to plan B. It's been an interesting couple of days or week or whatever, where I have felt like plan B. What's plan B? Plan A was to live where I'm living. Plan B is now to live somewhere else. And it just occurred to me that plan B can be many things, just whatever, just look for it, or let it come to you. Actually, just let plan B come to
Mm-hmm.
you. It'll be there. It'll show up.
Beautiful.
And just have that faith.
Yes. I love that plan A, there's just like one, it's like we have this minute, attention on this one thing. But then when that's not going the way that it should, or, we think it should or whatever, then plan B is like infinite options, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to just let it come. That's exactly what I experienced this morning, that plan B just came. And I didn't have to create it. I didn't have to make it. I didn't have to choose it or anything. It just came. And I also had the thought, as you were talking, that plan B was plan A all along. We just didn't see it.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you. Colleen, and then Phil.
What I found so interesting is that, when I had surgery, I didn't even know that I had planned for plan B. The opportunity presented itself that I could, accept a little bit of a challenge to help my body to work a little better. And I thought, well, I want to prepare for surgery, so I'm going to go ahead and do this challenge and have that intention. Well, I have healed so fast that I didn't need my plan A. And luckily it was taken from me. So I but my body has shown up in such a strong way that I didn't even need a plan,
Wow.
except for that that I find it so comforting to know God set that up, that
Yeah.
I didn't, because I really thought that Facey would be my right hand go to, but with her and my husband having an argument and her moving out, she hasn't hardly been here and hasn't felt that was honorable for her to be here. And so my body just showed up, and
Beautiful.
the nurses and the physical therapists say, I've never seen this before,
That's
so
awesome.
I'm so grateful that the Lord had prepped that solution right in there, because to be
Beautiful.
alone and not be able to get up and down as easily as I am, it would be a really frightening thing.
Hmm. That's so awesome. And I want to point out some of the words that you said. The Plan B opportunity presented itself. So just like what Mary was saying, just let it come, it just shows up. And that Plan B didn't actually end up being needed, but it gave you the confidence and the courage to go forward with your surgery. It's like, okay, I've got Thesia that she can help me when after it's over. But so it just was to give you confidence. And really, your body was going to be perfect. And maybe, in that moment, you had a hard time having faith that that was going to happen, that your body was going to be perfectly able to take care of itself. And so he gave you that Plan B of Thesia to begin with, just to give you the courage to go forward, but wasn't really needed. So I know I've had that happen in my life before too. Thank you. Phil.
The reality is that we are the illusion is that we're in control of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's the illusion. And we can set a destination, we can pick a goal of where we want to go. And then the illusion is that there will be no changes along the way. The
Mm-hmm.
thing that
Like,
the
I'm just
only
going
thing
there.
right, the only thing that we can ever be in control of is the choice that we make.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing. Even when other people make choices for us, we still have a choice to make, and that is with our attitude. Do we
Mm-hmm.
choose to have a good attitude about it? And I just had this vision in my mind of like trying to go like to California, for example, and then going down there and then having to redirect myself because the road is closed or there's a problem and I can't go that way. And then there's a choice to be made. And then sometimes you go down that road and then that road's a dead end. And then you have another choice to make.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the destination isn't the destination, that you end up in a different destination than what you had planned on.
Mm.
But that's okay too. And so
Awesome.
Plan B is okay, and wherever it takes you is the right place that you should be. And if you don't have that mentality in your mind, then you're going to be disappointed a lot in your life.
Yes. I've seen there's some YouTube videos that I can't remember what to search, but like the reaction of kids when it's like what is the word, like unreasonable reactions of kids or something like that. And it'll be parents taking a video of their child that's got this huge, tears and this big frown on their face, and all that happened was that they, their favorite shirt is in the washing machine or something. And, we all know with kids that there's like unbending, this is what I want, sometimes, but we get that same, we take on that same persona, if we're going along on our journey and the road's closed, or, this is the way we wanted to go and it's not easy and we have to choose a different way or whatever. And we sit down and have these tears and big frowny face and be like, I wanted to go that way. I wanted that to happen. But there's like this easy, very scenic, wonderful shortcut over here, but it's not the way that we wanted to go. So like you say, the illusion is that we are in control, because the journey is where we are prepared, where we get prepared to be able to actually arrive at the destination. There's a lot of things that have to happen, and choices, like you said, that we need to make that will help develop the character traits and the habits and, you know, whatever is needed for us to keep that destination, for us to be able to stay there and live there, you know, without falling back. So, you know, all those choices along the way are necessary to be able to get to that final destination. And I would say almost always the final destination nor the road looks like you think it's going to look. It's always different, and it's always better. Thanks, Phil. Crystal, and then Carol and Mary.
This is just, I'm just repeating what Phil said in a different way. I had two friends who both had these painful divorces, and the girl's dad said, it's time for plan A. And then she met her other her husband that she has now, and they are very happy. And so that story has just given me hope.
Yeah, awesome. It's just like we were saying before when Mary was talking, that plan B really was plan A all along. We just, you know, didn't see it. Beautiful. Thank you, Crystal. Carol.
Oh, I just reminded of whenever we go vacationing, my husband has always had this belief that we have fun no matter what we do or where we go. And so there's been oftentimes something we planned to do, it didn't work out, and so we had to do something different. Anyway, this is kind of what you guys were talking about, really, that you need an overall belief that things are working out the way they should in order to make that transition from A to B more enjoyable and get the full benefit of plan B.
Love it. Things are working out the way they should. I like that. I'm writing that down because a lot of times we think, well, it should have been this way, but we had to do it this way instead. But yeah, that just is caused for that just makes us feel like a victim, like we didn't have control, and that, you know, we were forced into this other vacation that, you know, I was thinking about a friend of mine who had planned to hike a huge mountain. It's one that everybody hikes, like tries to, it's the one that's like the biggest. You guys will know which one it is. Maybe I can't remember where it is, what the name of it is. Anyway, there was an earthquake and it just totally demolished the base camp. Maybe some of you guys remember that story, probably about, 3 or 4 years ago. Everest. Yes. Thank you. And he and his wife had actually planned to hike that. And the earthquake happened like just 2 days before their flight was to go, and of course they were super grateful that they weren't in base camp when that happened. And that it had not happened, 2 days later or 3 days later when they would have been there. But they ended up going on a cruise instead and had a great time. Obviously not the same experience. They went to a tropical location instead of where there was snow, but it was a very memorable opportunity right there, instead of, just staying home and, feeling sorry for themselves for missing out, or, spend all this money that they couldn't get back or whatever. They chose to use that time to, go on a different vacation. And it's a great experience. Very memorable. Mary, did you have something else?
Yeah, if I could, this just brought up the experience I had with my daughter when we left Florida. When I knew that I was to move, I kind of, not frantically, but very intensely, was looking to make things work. We had to move. It's like, I'm having to move a lot in my life. And I wonder what that is. But when we had to move because they weren't renewing our lease due to family moving in, I started looking and looking. When you have to look, you have to, be engaged.
Yeah.
And so I looked, but I frantically or intentionally was looking. And then all of a sudden it was just move, just go. And I had this relief that it's going to work out. Everything's going to be okay. Well, I was still hanging on to my chair, my seat. Like, I don't know about this, but, when I decided to let go, that plan, my plan A, just let plan B, just let God guide you. Well, that's easier said than done. But when we let go and we packed everything up and just hit the road, I will always remember, and I often need to come back to that feeling of that plan B, which was really plan A, but was so freeing to just let it come to you. That's a place to keep yourself or to redirect yourself to, because that feeling was so amazing, hard to describe, but just like a totally open feeling of peace. And I don't know that there are words to describe what we experienced or what I experienced, but I've experienced it since then. But when you want to take control of that plan, it's like not a peaceful place to be. So plan A, plan B, they're peaceful places to be.
Beautiful.
Just let them come to you.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I feel like it's all up to me, I feel like so alone, and like I have to be the one to figure it out. And it's like you have to go look at every, rental property there is or whatever, to find the right one. And it's like, is this the right one? Because you can't even really trust yourself, because you don't know what the future is, and you don't know, what your needs are going to be or whatever. So, I mean, it's just like this frantic, I don't know, kind of feeling. But when
I have to make it work. Yeah.
I have to make it work. Yeah. It's up to me. And when you let go of that and you're like, well, we know we can't stay here. So that's the only thing we really do know. So let's just pack up and move, just pack up and go, and just allow yourself to just let the answer come. Oh, it's such a peaceful.
And interestingly enough, I know it's a beautiful place to be. And then fast forward many years, when we were here in our last place looking for, because I knew I had to find a new place, I knew immediately which place it was. And that's where we are now. And now we're having to move. So
beautiful.
All right, just breathe through it.
So beautiful, because that's really what it boils down to is just trusting yourself that you will know it when you see it. When the right opportunity comes, you'll feel it, you'll know it. And that really takes all the pressure off. It's like, I don't have to go find something. It's going to come to me, and I'm going to feel it and know it when it's there. Amelia says in the chat, plan B is outside my comfort zone. I think it is for most people, especially in the beginning. Plan B keeps me from giving up and running away. I don't always have a plan B, but the Lord always does. Little guided directions and promptings lead me to the ultimate plan, which is his plan, not mine. Yes, that's another thing to remember. The Lord gives me enough of the known to move into the unknown. That's kind of what he gave Colleen when he gave her the idea that her daughter was going to be there to be able to support her after surgery. It gave her just enough of the known to be able to move into the unknown. And then he had her. He was the one who caught her. He made her body enough to not even need that plan B. Beautiful. So we got
Phil. Can I just add one more thing
Phil,
that I heard you say?
Phil, and then Betsy.
I'm just going to be really quick.
Okay.
But you said to let go. And you keep saying that word, to let go, and to let go of that outcome. And that's really the trick in life. That's really the trick that brings peace. So
yeah, and that's the scariest part, but it also is the one that brings the most relief and the most peace. So try it. Thank you, Betsy, and then we'll move into our permission process.
Hi. So when I was going through cancer, it seems like for those many years, it was plan B, plan C, plan D. And the joke was that plan B was plan Betsy. Okay, what are we going to do now after this crazy thing happened or that crazy thing happened? The original plan was 6 months is okay, you have cancer, chemo, radiation, cut it out, you're done. But no, there were all sorts of other awesome things that happened. And so I shifted the verbiage from plan B, from the Betsyisms, which are awesome, to really have like, what's the workaround? You know, it's the whole adage, when you're faced with a mountain, you can go around it, you can go over it, you can dig a tunnel through. There's always a way around. And you know, there's work involved. You have to take action. Sometimes it's just like when Moses was instructed to have the people look at the staff. It's such a thing, just look. But it's something that they had to do. They had to take some sort of action. And there's an allowance, that there's so many options. And with the work around, the round and the circular, it's like, it's welcoming. It's like, oh, there's always a workaround. There's always an answer. There's always a something. And it could just be in God's hands. It could be to be still. It could be, you know, I think there's such power in, there's a workaround, that there's an answer, that you never have to fear for, I ran out of plans. I ran out of the alphabet. There's Z. What now? What do I go to? Double A, double B? You know, so that like there's an infinite amount of answers, and it's really a beautiful thing. And sometimes it takes a community. Sometimes it takes patience. Sometimes it just really, you know, there's just always a way, and it may not be our way. I love that you brought it up. It's God's way is so unknown to us sometimes, but it's so beautiful and so truthful.
Beautiful. Thank you, Betsy. I appreciate that personal experience. And, you know, it's like what we said before, plan B is there is infinite choices. So, you know, whether you count them as A, B, C, D, or if you just count them all as B, it's just, and then we realize at the end that this was the plan all along. And that's the part, you know, where the relief comes, is when we can find gratitude in that plan B, and the final resting place, you know, that whatever happened at the end, when we came back around to, okay, here's, you know, we're back onto our stable ground again, to be able to see that as it really was plan B all along. Thank you, God, for this experience. Thank you. Robert, and then we'll move into our permission process.
Thank you for giving me the moment.
You're welcome.
President Lincoln probably said it the best when he came up upon the Mormons in their trek across the United States and different situations that they were involved in, that he treated the Mormons, as he referred to them, as a block of wood when you're plowing a field, when it's too wet to burn, too heavy to move, and too hard to chop. You go around it. Wow.
That's cool. Thank you. So you can even be that, you can be a, you know, we've been talking about like plan A and plan B on our own journey, but we could also possibly be someone, something on someone else's journey that is the facilitator of a workaround or a change, you know, in plans that somebody else might be having, and in the form of a mentor, or in the form even sometimes of an antagonist that encourages change in that person. Maybe someone who creates like an intervention, a pattern interrupt. That's a really awesome thought within these plan A's, plan B's that everyone has. We can play a part, even if it's not our personal journey. Thank you. And it is part of our own personal journey as we interact with other people. Kathy says submission and surrender to the Lord. And Amelia says, yes, giving my will over to the Lord. First, I tell him what I want and think, And then I breathe and listen and learn his will. Sometimes it's the same as mine. Sometimes it's totally different. Betsy says a workaround is a new way. Beautiful. Lots of really wonderful thoughts. Really helps to strengthen our faith in our own journey and knowing that there's so many choices. And the best way to make a choice, the way that we can absolutely know that we're going to make the right choice, that we are making the right choice, is to turn it over to God. And that's what we're going to do right now, is just go ahead and take a deep breath. And just be aware right now of your own journey, or maybe someone else's journey where you have, you are playing a part and helping them to choose a plan B. Maybe it's your journey, maybe it's someone else's journey. And either way, it is your part, it is your journey. But go ahead and just see, be open to allow the vision to unfold to you of what that journey is, what that plan is, that you have the destination where you think you're going, where you think you want to go, or where you are maybe serving someone else on their journey where they think they want to go. And just see that, maybe kind of lift yourself up and be able to see it as a map, sort of, so you can see the bigger picture like God does, that you can see the destination, you can see which way you want to go. But now from this elevated position, you can actually see that, like a road map, there are like multiple different roads that will take you to the same destination. And it's not really plan B, it's just a road. It's just a way. And you get to make the choice of which of those ways you take. And because we know that you, you know, on that journey in your limited vision, when you get back down and you're actually on the road, you won't be able to see this higher elevated vision. And so let's make some choices right now from this higher elevated vision. So go ahead and take one more deep breath. And get out of your physical and get into the spiritual. Allow yourself to see through God's eyes, connect with him through this, through your divine intelligence inside you, that spirit within you, God within. And as you do this, notice that all of the judgments or the worry or the doubt or the unknown, you know, feeling of the unknown, all of those things just dissipate. And you're only left with just being with God and looking at the map in the most objective way, and knowing that there are possibly some lessons that you in the physical form need to learn along the way. What is the one most important path that you could step on? What is your inspired shortcut today? When you get back down to earth, what is the first step on the right road that will take you to the ultimate destination? And maybe it's even a different destination than you as your physical self had imagined. Maybe it's a completely different destination and it's only 5 steps away instead of being 20,000 miles. So allow it to be easy. Allow your spiritual eyes, that God within, with God as your partner, to be able to show you a different view. And allow it to be easy. Just take one more deep breath. And again, anchoring in that inspired shortcut, the number one most important thing for you to do today to arrive at your destination in the most timely and the easiest and most simple manner, with you having learned all the lessons that are needed to remain at that destination that you're choosing and to live well. And then what are the limiting beliefs that might be coming up for you? And I know as you're in this state of being God within, you'll see those limiting beliefs as just words, that they really don't have any meaning. And if anything, they're just silly. But go ahead and take a moment and acknowledge those limiting beliefs and account the cost if, when you go back to earth and take action on that inspired shortcut, if you honor these limiting beliefs, what that will do, how that will affect you. how it will affect your journey, how it will affect your ability to take action on that inspired shortcut that you received. That maybe when you get back down with this limiting belief that you won't trust that inspired shortcut, and you'll end up taking the long direction or the long road anyway and end up at the wrong destination. So whatever that cost is of that limiting belief, count that cost and then make the choice right now. Do you want to keep it, or do you want to give yourself permission to choose a new belief that will support you in taking action on what you've learned using this God within, being your God within. And so if you're ready to give yourself permission to choose a new belief, say yes.
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 Awesome. So I invite you now to choose some new beliefs and go back up to that God space, seeing what you can see from that perspective, and choose your new beliefs based on that, not from the physical, but from the spiritual eyes. Choose your new beliefs. And then 2 or 3 new beliefs. And as you're getting clear on those, go ahead and take one more deep breath. Bring those new beliefs into your spirit. Allow it to become part of you and that inspired shortcut. And then when you're ready, I invite you to float back down. And how cool that you don't even need a GPS. You've seen it from above. You know exactly the way to go. All you have to do is take that one step today, and then tomorrow you're going to go back up, God within, in that God space with God, and see what your next step is. So every day, just asking for those inspired shortcuts, and to arrive at your, in the chat, Colleen says, promised land, because all we have to do is just ask for those next steps. And who knows but where we're going to be led to a promised land that is so much more beautiful and abundant and fulfilling, happy than we could ever have imagined. And that is my intention, is that he would lead me somewhere that I could not even imagine, better than I could even imagine. And we are at the end of our time today, and so we won't take time to share, but I do want to read what has been written in the chat here. So if you have something you really, really want to share, go ahead and write that in the chat. And in the meantime, before I read these, I just want to also invite anyone that is feeling like they need some extra support to reach out to me on my calendar, askwylene.com. You can schedule a 15-minute call with me, a private mentoring session for free. Askwylene.com. Phil says, if it's in your path, it's for you. You are there to either help or learn. Beautiful. So if it shows up, it's perfect. Colleen says, maybe God will lead us to a promised land. Let's ask. Yeah, ask him to lead us to a promised land. Kathy says, my life is a gift. My life has a plan. My life has a purpose. In heaven, it begs, my choice was to come to this lovely house on earth to seek for God's light to direct me from birth. This is a song, isn't it? You'll have to post that in our Breakthrough with Gratitude Facebook group, Kathy. That's awesome. My life is a gift. My life has a plan. My life has a purpose. In heaven it began. My choice was to come to this lovely home on earth to seek for God's light to direct me from birth. I can follow God's plan for me, holding fast to his word and his love. I will work and I will pray. I will always walk in his way, and I will be happy on earth and in my home above. Beautiful. Crystal says, I'm going to my promised land and my promised man. I love it. Kathy says, she just fixing some of the typos in that previous. See, Mary says, my limiting belief was the view was obstructed. It's not what I pictured. Now I'm seeking through God's eyes. I feel it. I see it. Yes, I think that's a really common one. That's not what I pictured. That's not what I wanted. My daughter, when she was little, said that at Christmas time when she opened up, I think it was a book. That's not what I wanted. But But yeah, we can start seeing through God's eyes and feel it and see it. Let's see. Yeah. So Kathy's just saying, yes, a lot of new beliefs and affirmations in that song. Beautiful. Lots of really great comments here. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for contributing so well to these calls. So it just makes, it's just such a powerful transition that we create here, especially when you're here on a regular basis. So thank you for being here live. Thank you for being here on the podcast. And we will look forward to being back together tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Mountain Time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. And I encourage you to tune in every day to the Daily Gratitude Call. And the Daily Gratitude Call happens live every weekday morning. I'd love to have you join. So to find out how to join live, go to my website, WileenBenson.com. Thanks for tuning in.